What's up, guys? It's about 4 o'clock on a Saturday morning. Just up here trying to play catch up a little bit. Give me an update on Shelton's car. We got the downpipes done, turbo mounted. We got the headers finished up. This particular one we decided to go with a reverse step. We hadn't had a chance to really do this yet on a customer's car. You'll notice it is 2 1/8 step down to 2 inch into the collector. The thinking behind this is if you can slow down this transition period, it won't pull as much energy out going to the turbo back pressure. Because all these primaries coming into a single 3 inch, that's necking it down pretty hard. That's why on naturally aspirated cars you see really long collectors, because the longer the collector, the slower you can step it down, the better it is for it. So this works on turbo headers too. Might not pick up nothing, but you'll never know till you try new things. Here you got a ton of plug clearance under there. Upswept headers are always a blessing for changing plugs. Got the cold side done. We put cast 90 on this to kind of make it look like the turbo, but the way the tree is built in this car comes up like this on both sides, so unless you keep this in the middle, you can't get the front end off. Looks like a big jet coming in for a landing or something. I've got some rod ends coming. We're going to tie this to help with the vibration out here when it's running. The wastegates are going to come down through here and come up, kind of simulate the way that is. You can see the front end already has the holes cut out, so we're going to try to utilize that. That's pretty much it on that. See, I'm welding up the hot pipes. That's what I've welded so far this morning. And I'm about to weld the other one. I'm going to set the camera up and show you guys the process I go through when welding these up. For some reason I can't get my phone to connect to this thing, so I'm going to have to set it up briefly right here. Alright. So first off, what I typically use, TIG Aesthetics, Brad, he's got these sweet little pieces here. You put them in the end. What I typically do on the V-band is I got this going over to my regulator, flowing some argon. I'll put this in the other end, like that. And then on this end for the V-band, because it'll get pretty hot on these if you put them in here and try to weld the V-band. So I typically just get some aluminum foil which I've actually got a piece here. It's already kind of formed up. Now I'll put it over there. Now I'll roll the edges really tight. Once you roll them, you can kind of spin it like that, and it'll help you get it pretty well sealed up. Usually take a welding rod and just poke a hole in the middle so the argon can flow through, which this isn't airtight, so you're flowing anywhere from 5 to 7 in this tube, then you're gonna pretty well get all the air out of there. And I'll show you right here. Dual regulator. So flowing somewhere around there. Don't get in a hurry. Just let it flow. Give it maybe a good 30 seconds or something before you start. With the V-band, I usually go around and put a ton of tacks around this, especially if you're putting it in a bend like this, because it's got a little bit of a bigger gap on the back side than it does here. So the more tacks you can put, the more it'll keep this round. Sometimes it's best to clamp the entire assembly together, and that way it doesn't try to distort with the heat. But just as long as you don't get greedy and try to just nuke it, it won't distort that bad. My amperage, I'm usually running about maybe 55 amps or something like that. On any flange like this, I use 1/16 filler, just because it's got a little bit more meat I can put in there with the flange. The smaller, I can use it like the 035, or yeah, 035 is what we've got here. But it's just, it takes so much pushing into that to get enough in there like I like it. So that should be purged good enough. I'm gonna get my helmet on, and we're gonna put a bunch of tacks around here. I've already got 4 on this flange to hold it in place, but I'm gonna put some more, and then we're gonna weld it up. I like these Tillman Onyx gloves. They're really pliable. The regular colored ones, the white ones with the yellow back, they just get hard on the fingertips, because I don't use a TIG finger or anything most of the time, so I'm getting my fingers pretty hot. So I like these. They're more flexible. As far as the cup on stainless, tungsten choice, red 3/32 tungsten. See how I kind of sharpen it? Not a huge taper, but a pretty good one. GLS number 12 cup. We've got them all the way up to 20. I don't see really the point in using anything bigger than a 12, especially if you're in a tighter spot or trying to go around some pretty big curves and stuff. The 16 and the 20 is just too huge. So that's what I use. I don't use a pulse or anything on the flanges. I have recently started to use the pulse on the butt joints right here, because I've found I can keep more of a steady pedal and not have to pump the pedal so much and get even penetration all the way through doing that. So no shame in using what the welder has. I mean, you're gonna spend $6 grand on a welder that's got all these options, and you stick with just using the pedal because you think you're awesome. I mean, why make life harder if it can be easier? So I can do it without using the pulser, and I always have until here recently. So let's tack these. All right, should be plenty of tacks. We're gonna start to go around it here. I'll show you what it kind of looks like before we get started. I usually weld maybe an inch, inch and a half at a time, then stop. Just because going around it non-stop, you don't watch it, you'll put too much heat into it. Give it a chance to cool down just for a second before you get back in it. You get stuff too hot, by the time you get to the other side, you'll be able to see. A lot of how your weld looks is how comfortable you are. So if it gets in an awkward position, adjust where you can be the most comfortable. My post flow is usually 5 to 7 seconds. I think 7 right here. Let it flow out after you're done making your run. Let it cool the weld off a little bit. It'll look a lot better. You get some pipes in positions like this where you got to kind of get under it. If it gets in an awkward position, it's okay to, you know, not weld as much per pass or per time you take a break, so to say. Adjust, stay comfortable, and the weld will look better. See, like right here, I'm having to flip the torch around upside down to be able to get where I want to get. And that's how long it takes to get around the flange. Alright. Now we're going to do the pipe itself. You see it leaking some of the smoke out of the cracks. Usually take the air cool it down just a little bit before I put one of these other plugs in here. See, the hole in the middle will let the argon pass through, push all the contaminated air out. So, those are pretty sweet. Had those about a year, I guess. Now on this particular one, I'm gonna get the argon still flowing. I'm gonna let it flow through for about 30 seconds or so. And I'm gonna weld this first. Then I'm gonna weld this, then I'm gonna flip it and weld this. I always weld the flange first, and then I'll go to the opposite side of the flange away from the heat. So I can lay my arm there. Plus, it's just the way I like to do it. So, all right, now I'm going to use the pulser. And right here, this is a Miller Dynasty 200. I've got, well, I actually turned that down a little bit. Got like 56 on my main amps, pulser is 2.5 pulses per second, 72 on the peak, and 20 on the downside. So that's what I'm running, just so when you see the end result, well, for video purposes, because it's going to be a long time before I get to this end, I'm going to weld this straight in. .035 308. And here we go. I could probably go a little bit faster, but kind of show you how it's doing there. It's hard to focus the camera on shiny stuff. After we get all the way around, we'll shine a flashlight up in there and see how we're doing on penetration. Should be pretty good. As far as my rhythm on dabbing compared to how it's pulsing, I'll say when I'm dabbing, get it started, then dab, 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 dab. So I'm putting a good bit of filler in there. For right now, I'll cut the purge off. The new TIG Aesthetics little purge plugs, they have little handles on them where you don't have to use a pick. I've got the OG style. So just looking in there, it's hard to see on the camera, but you can see we've got full penetration all the way around. Let me see if I can get a better view of the other side. It's hard to look in there with the V-band in the way. Yeah, we're good all the way around. You might notice that little gap right there in the V-band. Anytime I have something like that, I usually take some filler and fill that in. That's where you put the V-band right against the bend. It's kind of out around. Squeeze it in the vise and get it best you can, but it'll still have a little gap there. So I just TIG weld the inside as well. So looking at what we've done so far, that's that one. Let me get it out here in the light. All right, get this out of here. Well, this is what we've got. You can see the pattern where I'm dabbing so much. Everybody has a different weld style, but with really little filler and the pulser on, you get more of a tighter set of dimes. Now if I was using bigger rod, using the foot pedal and just slowly hitting it and letting it melt in, I would not have nearly as tight a set. It would look more like that on the tube. But that's 2 welds. That's pretty much the process. You can see it's pretty time consuming if you take your time and do it slow. But quality takes time. That's why it costs money. So till next time, hope this helps some of y'all with welding.